Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby, and today I'm going to be starting a very exciting reading vlog, and that is going to be a reading your thriller recommendations reading vlog. So about a month ago or so, I asked in my Instagram story, I made this story that said, tell me a thriller recommendation that you think that I would like, or give me a thriller that you're surprised that I haven't read yet, or something of that sort. And I got a ton of responses of so many different thrillers, some that I've never even heard of, and so I'm definitely going to be looking into all of those more. But I got a very overwhelming response for a specific couple of books, and so those are the books that I'm going to be reading for this video. I'm going to be reading 4 of your thriller recommendations, and I am very excited about these books. Some of them are books that I've been wanting to read for quite a while now, and then some of them are books that I actually had no intention of reading. So the very first book that I'm going to be reading because of you is this book called Confessions. This book had 6 people recommend it to me in that, just from that one thing that I posted on Instagram, and I am overwhelmed by how many people were recommending this. And also my friend Mike also really loved this book, and he's been trying to get me to read this book for a long time, so I feel like this is a sign from the universe that I need to read this book, because what the heck? It seems like it's getting very highly praised. A lot of people are saying it's one of their favorite thrillers, it's really disturbing, and that they think I would like it. So I'm definitely down to give this one a shot. I downloaded the ebook on my phone because for some reason I just feel like I want to read this one at night in the dark. And so I'm really excited to finally give this book a go. This one has been actually on my TBR for a while, ever since Mike told me how much he loved it, which was a while ago. The second thriller that I'm going to be reading for this video is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This one was also recommended 6 times, and it's wild because I never actually intended to read this book. I actually didn't even know what it was about. My friend Haley really loves it. She's one of the 6 that recommended it on this, and she actually put it on a post because I put a post right before this thriller post, and I said, what's the best book that you've read of 2021 so far? And she actually put this book as the best book that she's read in 2021 so far. So I am intrigued because me and Haley have really similar tastes usually when it comes to thrillers. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm so dumb because when I looked at this, I actually thought like, oh, I don't think I've ever read a book by Jennifer Hillier, and like, no, I have, and I enjoyed it. So I don't know why this book wasn't even on my radar, but now, because of y'all, it is, and I'm so excited to read this one and check it out. And I actually just got the audiobook checked out from my library. Like, they already had the audiobook available, ready to borrow, so I was like, download. Next book I'm going to be reading for this video is Razorblade Tears, and this is one that I am so excited to read. I'm really shocked because this book is a pretty fairly new release, and it was recommended by 4 people in that Instagram post. And I know that this book has been very highly recommended to me otherwise as well. Like on my Bright Sellers video where I did the try a chapter, a lot of people were saying they would think that I would really love this. And this one is a pretty new release. I mean, it was just a July book of the month selection, so I'm surprised that already 4 people have read and loved this book and are recommending it to me. And this is one that I really do think I'm gonna enjoy, and this is one that I had on my TBR anyways, so that's why it's just the perfect pick for this vlog. I'm so excited to read this. And then the last book that I was gonna pick for this video, I was torn between a few different options because a lot of books got 2 votes each, but I decided to go with Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. And even though this one only did get 2 votes, I feel like this is another one that I've been highly requested to read for quite some time because this book actually came out in November last year. And so this one's been on my radar for a while. I actually just got this book checked out from my library as an audiobook, so I decided to go with this one. And that's the only reason why I decided to go with this one, because I do have the other 2 books on hold at my library, but they're gonna be like over 11 weeks to wait for these audiobooks. So I do eventually plan to read both Yes Daddy and Bathhouse, but for time's sake, I ended up picking Pretty Little Wife, and I really don't know what to expect going into this book. I've heard comparisons to Karen Slaughter for this book, which definitely has me intrigued, and I know a lot of my friends that have recently read this and really enjoyed it, like Chanel being one of them. I saw her reading this pretty recently, and then that sparked me wanting to read this book sooner. I thought it would be so fun to finally do a video of like reading your thriller recommendations, because last October when I did that video of reading your horror recommendations, it was one of my favorite videos that I've done, and I just had so much fun. So I feel like I want to make this a more regular thing of reading some of your recommendations. And I also thought it would be kind of fun to try and rank these in the order that I think I will enjoy them the most, just because I like to see how my opinions might be correct or different depending on how the reading vlog goes. And so I think in first place I'm going to put Confessions. I think this will be the one that I like the most, just because this is one that has been recommended to me again and again. Me and McKay do usually have very similar tastes on books, and I'm just really excited and curious to see what the hype is with this one, because it's been getting so much hype and I'm just so excited. And then in second place I'm gonna put Razorblade Tears, because I've just been absolutely seeing nothing but good reviews on this book, and I just feel like it's gonna be right up my alley. Like, I read the first chapter of this for my triad chapter, and the first chapter was stunning. And so I think this is really going to be something that I'm going to enjoy. And then in third place, I'm going to put Jar of Hearts, because even though I've never heard of this book before, I have high hopes for it because I did actually like Jennifer Hillier's other book that I've read. So I have high hopes for this one, and I trust Haley. I think it's going to be amazing. And then in last place, I'm going to put Pretty Little Wife, not because I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, just because I've never read anything from this author. I have literally no idea what to expect with this book, and it's just in last place. Like, it's just there. So yeah, very excited for this reading vlog, and now without further ado, let's jump into the reading. Hello, what's up? So I didn't really plan this, but this morning while I was at the gym, I just decided to start listening to the audio for Pretty Little Wife, because I just got the audiobook checked out from the library, and so I figured I would start with this book. And I didn't plan it, but I got exactly 100 pages in. I got to chapter 15. And so far this book is super interesting, and I will admit it was a little bit hard to figure out like what exactly was happening in this book on audio, because there was like discussion about people going missing, and I was like trying to figure out which character was which, and so it was a little bit hard to figure out exactly who is who just listening to the audiobook. And I feel like this is why usually with thrillers I like to be reading the book physically while listening to the audiobook instead of just trying to do the audiobook for thrillers, because I don't know why my brain sometimes can't figure out who everyone is just listening to it. I need to like be seeing it as well. I don't know if that makes sense. But so far I'm already really enjoying it. It has a really great vibe to it. I like this vibe, like this mystery that we're already having in this book is really good. But yeah, I just came home from the gym. I picked up Vitality, and so I'm going to eat while listening to more of this. And it looks really dark and gloomy in my room today, and that's because it's Friday the 13th. I'm just kidding. That's not why. I mean, it is Friday the 13th, but it's because there's like a lot of smoke outside, because Washington is like super smoky right now, and so it's just really dark and really hot, and it's not a great combo. It's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've literally just been sitting here laying in bed listening to this audiobook all day, and now I just reached page 300. So I figured I would update you, because I didn't realize this book was actually pretty long. Like, it's about 400 pages long. Because this book is 400 pages long, I was like, damn, am I really gonna be able to finish this all today? But I'm just so invested and so hooked that I need to finish this right now. I literally only have about 100 pages left, so I'm just gonna continue to sit here and listen to this audiobook. But this book is so fascinating, and there's been so many like different twists and turns in the plot. And this book, like, wow, it's a little bit darker than I was anticipating. Like, there's definitely a lot of trigger warnings for things like, you know, sexual violence against really young girls, and like molestation, and you know, different things like that that are pretty hard to read about. But I'm still very surprised by things that have happened in this book. I didn't really read the premise of this book, because I mean, I read it a really long time ago, but I've kind of forgotten since all that was said in the premise, and so I really just jumped into this book knowing absolutely nothing, which so far has been the way to go, because I'm just like, what the fuck at every turn. But yeah, I'm just gonna sit here, finish this now, and hopefully love. Oh. Hello, this is editing me from the future here, because I realized I never even told you what Pretty Little Wife is about, and while I do love the idea of jumping into this book without knowing anything, I need to give you at least something, you know, like you have no idea what I'm even talking about. So in this book, we're following this woman who lives in this college town, and recently a student has vanished, and now her husband is also missing, and the police start to figure out that this student that went missing is the third person of these 3 mysterious disappearances that have happened over the last few years, and our main protagonist doesn't seem to be too bothered by the fact that her husband's missing, and so we're trying to figure out why, because she might have been the last person to see him alive. We also do learn a bit about our protagonist and her past and some of the trauma that she's gone through. And yeah, that's pretty much what this story is about. It's about trying to figure out what the heck happened to her husband and what the heck happened to this student that went missing and what the heck. What? Sorry, I literally just finished it and I didn't even have time to turn off the AC because it's so loud, but... What? So, it's about 3 in the afternoon and I just finished Pretty Little Wife, and like, what the heck? This ending was shocking. Like, those last 100 pages were so good. God damn, like, that ending was just really great. Like, you can tell this author really thought about this ending. Probably, like, that was probably the first thing she thought of when writing this book, because wow, we love a well thought out thriller. We love perfect execution of plot twists. God damn, I'm amazed. Like, I will say though, I do think, because I saw a lot of people comparing this to like Karen Slaughter, because I'm assuming because of the, you know, violence in this book and because of the graphic and gory details and stuff like that. But I would say, with all respect, I feel like this is a like PG-13 version of Karen Slaughter. Because Karen Slaughter goes freaking hard in her books. Like, they are no joke. Like, Pretty Girls and The Good Daughter, the 2 books that I've read from her so far, are some of the hardest books that I've ever had to stomach. And I don't think that this got anywhere near that level of goriness and graphicness. So if you were worried about that in any sense, like not wanting to read this because you thought it might be too graphic or too gory, I wouldn't let that put you off from reading this book, because if anything, I don't think this book is too graphically violent. It's more so just like hard to read and hard to stomach because of the like molestation and the sexual assault and like that kind of thing. It's more challenging to read about this book. Even that doesn't go nearly as far as like Karen Slaughter's books. Like, Karen Slaughter's books will probably traumatize you. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, her writing is, it's intense. Even for me, like, I love reading, you know, dark thrillers and dark things, but even Karen Slaughter's books are a little much for me. But this was great. This was really surprising. I didn't expect to become so invested that I would want to finish this 400-page book in literally one sitting. I mean, I know I read some at the gym earlier, but I was pretty much listening to this book from like 11 a.m. all the way to 3 p.m. and I just finished it. I just looked, and this author has a new book coming out in December this year, so now this author is definitely on my radar because this is a debut thriller, so I am super impressed. I mean, I've been wanting to read this book since November last year when it was a Book of the Month pick, so I'm so glad that you finally encouraged me to pick this up. I know so many people have been wanting me to read this book for a really long time, so I'm glad I finally did. I understand the hype. And I don't know if I'm gonna be, I feel like I'm gonna end up giving this book like a 4-star, just because it wasn't like the perfect, amazing thriller for me, but I'm still really glad that I read it. I was still really surprised by the plot twist, and I still just had a great time. I mean, shit, it's not often that I read a 400-page book in one sitting, you know? That doesn't happen often for me. So wow, this is amazing. Thank you for the recommendation, and honestly, after reading this, I'm still in such a reading mood right now, and it's only 3 o'clock, and I have the whole night off. Like, I might just start another book tonight. Who knows? That would be wild, right? Before bed, I did decide to start Razorblade Tears, and I did decide to download the audiobook from Libro just because I wanted the audiobook to follow along with this book. I'm only 88 pages into this book and I'm already really loving it. I mean, look at all these tabs already, like what the heck? But yeah, this is a really intense thriller. I feel like this book reads so much like a movie. Like, this book to me, it's already reading like an Oscar-winning movie. Like some directed by Quentin Tarantino type shit, okay? Because in this book, all I really knew about this premise going into this book is that we're following a black father, a white father, their two dead sons, and their quest for revenge. So we're following these two men who find out at the beginning of this book that their sons were murdered. And then they pretty much take it upon themselves because the police aren't really doing much about it. And something I didn't realize about this book when I started it, because I don't know why in my brain I thought that it was like their two teenage sons that got murdered, but no, it was their two married adult sons who were together in a couple, and I think they were murdered because they're gay. And now I'm like, bitch, what? Like, this is so much more complex and deep of a story than I was expecting it to be. It was so great because I saw somebody online fan casting this book, and they said they think Ike should be played by Denzel Washington, and then they think Buddy should be played by Woody Harrelson. And ever since they said that, I cannot stop picturing both of these characters as Denzel Washington and Woody Harrelson, and this is just like my favorite duo ever. I feel like they would both play these characters so perfectly, and like their chemistry, and like Woody Harrelson is so good at playing that like kind of like washed up drunk dude kind of character, I feel like, so he'd be perfect for this. Because something that is unique about both of these characters too is that they're both ex-cons. Like Buddy and Ike are both ex-cons, so they already have this like distrust of police anyways. So when it's like something like this happens to their own family, they're like, no, I want to take it upon myself to do something about it. And this book is already really, you know, graphically violent as they're trying to get revenge and try to figure out who they need to talk to. And there's already so many really great subtle conversations about race and about, you know, being gay. Right at the start of this book, there was a really great flashback scene with Ike talking to his son, because something that I think is interesting about this book is that neither of these dads were necessarily accepting of their sons' sexualities and their lifestyles. It was mostly a concern for their safety, I think, but it's interesting to see that neither of them were very accepting of the lifestyle, but they still both loved their sons so much. There was also, too, towards the start of this book, a really great conversation about race when him and Buddy are in his truck, and Buddy saying that he wants to switch places with him. If you've read the book, then you know, but I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read the book, but that one was a really great conversation about race and how sometimes white people don't consider what it's like to live in America as a black person. I'm just like super, super impressed with this so far. Like, I'm only 88 pages in and I already have so much to say and so much love for this book. It's just after 2 o'clock and I am now about 230 pages into this book. I have a little bit less than 100 pages left and I have no doubt that I'll be able to finish this today, but I'm still really enjoying this book. I will say this book is a lot more gory and graphically violent than I was anticipating. Like, this is a lot. And some of it has made me a little bit like queasy reading it, so I've had to like skim through some of the really intense scenes because it's a lot, you know. Like when I said this could be a movie directed by Quentin Tarantino, I mean, like, yeah, because of the violence especially, but besides that, like, yeah, I'm still really loving this book. I will say I kind of wish we didn't get a point of view from this character Grayson, because he's kind of the one that's like, I'm assuming, like, responsible for the deaths of the two boys, you know, and so we kind of get his point of view throughout the book and like what he's up to. And I kind of wish we didn't, just because I'm just not a huge fan of reading from his character's point of view. I would just rather read from Ike and Buddy throughout the book. No, they are so similar. They almost read like they're complete opposites, but because of that, they just have really good banter and really good conversations. And I really do appreciate all the discussions in this book because they are talking about, you know, how Buddy will make some comments that are like slightly racist, and then, you know, Ike will call him out on it and be like, why do you say shit like that? Like, it's so ignorant of you. And it's like Buddy just doesn't know any better, and I feel like these conversations are so important to have because I feel like there are a lot of people in this world like Buddy's character who don't really know that what they're saying is wrong, and I appreciate that Ike's calling him out on it and that they're having real conversations like this about it. But I just have such a soft spot in my heart for both Ike and Buddy and like everything that they're going through in this book. It's just so tough, and I don't know, usually I don't really love stories that are focused on revenge. But this book is just so different because I just care so much about these characters and I care about what happened to them, and I think it's so awful, and I am completely on board with them getting revenge, and it's something that I want to see as well. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. My sister's gonna be home any minute now, and so I'm gonna take a quick break from it, but I leave for work in about an hour, and I'm probably gonna listen to this audiobook on the way to work and back from work, and so I might be able to finish this soon. And I'm very excited about that because this book is just so good. It's just so well written. Also, this really great conversation in this book about the hardships of being black versus the hardships of being gay, and which one is seen as harder in each of their communities and stuff. And it was so interesting because Ike's character firmly believes that being black is nothing like being gay, and he does make some valid points, like when you're black you have to be black everywhere you go, like you can't hide anything about that, whereas if you're gay you can hide your sexuality sometimes. But it's also such an interesting conversation because then this other black guy who's gay confronts him and says he thinks that some black people hate gay people more than they hate racists. Like, the fact that you think that I should have to hide who I am proves my point. Like Dr. King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I think that that's a really great point, and I just really appreciate conversations like that in this book because I do think that's so important to talk about things like this.
This is Adam Lazarway. Thank you for listening to Razor Blade Tears, written by S.A. Cosby, a Macmillan audio production from Flatiron Books.
Hello, it is Sunday afternoon, but I wanted to let you know that I finished reading Razor Blade Tears. I actually finished this book this morning while I was listening to it on audio and I was opening my restaurant, because usually I get about like 30 minutes of time in the morning when I'm by myself and I'm working, so I listen to an audiobook usually while I'm doing that, and I didn't realize I only had like 20 minutes of the audiobook left, so I finished it while I was at work, and when I tell you I fucking cried, I was trying to like keep my shit together because the ending just made me cry. And I can tell you that if I was like alone, like if I was home, I probably would have like sobbed over the ending of this book. Like, it was just, oh my God, it was so good. It was such a beautiful ass ending, and just like really, really love these characters. I feel like despite any of those flaws that I mentioned about this book, like things that I just like nitpicky things that I was having issues with, I have to give this 5 stars. Like, it was so fucking good, and this is going down as one of the few, very few thrillers that have actually made me cry. Like, oh my God, I did not think that this book would make me so emotional, even though it literally has tears in the title, so I probably should have expected that. God, I love Ike so much, and Buddy. Like, they are 2 of my new favorite characters. They're just so real, but I just appreciated their perspectives, and I appreciated their efforts to grow as humans. And this story is just so tragic and heartbreaking and awful, and it is very, very kind of almost over the top, gory and graphic and violent. It's also just such a beautiful ass story about what a father would do to get revenge for his son. And I think this book is also an important reminder to work things out with people in our lives while they're still alive, and like let people know that you love them and that you care about them and that you support them while they are alive. Wow, I can't. It was so good. Anyways, right now I'm actually getting ready to leave for a trip to Vegas tomorrow. I'm taking a trip with my company that I work with. It's actually our pizza company, and we're going to PizzaCon in Vegas, and I'm gonna be gone for the next like 2.5 days or so. So you might not see me in this vlog for a minute, but I'm very excited to read the next book that I'm gonna read for this vlog because it's going so well so far. I had a 4-star, I had a 5-star. Let's go.
That pain inside, don't wanna feel it. So I pour up inside my cup and I just sip till I can't feel it. I know it won't solve my problem, but I know it makes a difference. One more sip and I'ma fix it. Out my body when I'm tempted. I told her one more, she hear me say you quit or she dipping. Yeah, yeah. I don't want pain no more. I don't want no more pain. I can go see no way. Look at that with no pain. See the rain coming down, but it is not purple today. Came a long way from stacking and rolling that change. And all I ever want.
Hello, I am finally home from Vegas, and even though I was only gone for like 2.5 days, they felt like a really long 2.5 days, but like in a good way. And I had such a great time on this trip. Like, it was just so much fun getting to hang out with all of my coworkers for like that whole entire time, because all of my coworkers are some of my closest friends that I have, and so it was just really cool to be able to go and take a trip all together like that. And it was for work. It was just like really cool, you know. But anyways, I wanted to let you know that while I was on the plane ride home, it was a 2.5-hour flight home, and I started listening to the audiobook for Jar of Hearts when I was on the way back. And this book, oh my gosh, I listened to 49% of this audiobook on the way back home because I literally just couldn't stop listening to it. And I was on the plane, like I didn't have anything else to do, so I was just sitting there listening to it. I was playing some games on my phone. This book is freaking wild, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I love the way that this book is written. So in this book, we're following this woman named Geo, who, when she was like a young teenage girl, she fell for this guy named Calvin, who was like a lot older than her at the time. Like, I'm pretty sure he was like 20-ish, and she was like 16-ish. And it turns out that he was a serial killer, and he ended up murdering her best friend, like butchering her into little pieces and shit. And she knew about it, I guess, because at the start of this book, like right in the very beginning, we witness Geo getting arrested like years and years and years later in the future, because she had known the whole time that her best friend had gotten killed by this man, and she didn't say anything. And it's unclear to me if she was involved in the murder or if she just knew about it. I don't know if I just missed that in the beginning or if they haven't really shared like what exactly happened yet, but it's so freaking interesting. Really do like actually that we do get a detective point of view in this book, but it's interesting because the detective went to high school with them, and he kind of like had a crush on this girl Geo, I think, in high school, and so he's very familiar with all of these people. So it's almost like reading from the point of view of another one of their friends. It doesn't really feel like a detective point of view, which is something that I really like about it. But oh my gosh, this book is just wild so far. Like, it's just so good, and there was already like a really good plot twist. Like, there's just constantly something happening in this book. Like, there's not a dull moment, and I just really appreciate that, especially because like on the plane ride, it just made the plane ride feel like it went so fast because I was just like constantly just like so engaged in this audiobook. This book also is pretty graphic with its violence, you know. I mean, it is like, you know, he did chop up her best friend into little pieces, and it kind of goes into some gory details about some of his murders and stuff, but I don't know, I'm just, oh my god, I'm just really enjoying it. Like, there was already like this one plot twist that I just thought was so clever, and I didn't see it coming, and now I'm like, how is this going to affect the rest of the story? Like, what is going on? And I don't know, I'm just really into this. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I think I first saw this cover like somewhere online, and I assumed that it was a romance book or something just because of the like Jar of Hearts and the way there's like hearts on the cover. I feel like this cover, like, I wouldn't immediately assume that it's a thriller, so I feel like this cover is doing this book a disservice, because this book is very dark and very thrilling, and it's like everything I love in a thriller, and so I'm very excited about it. Like, I'm so excited. This is looking to be like a 4 or 5 star book for me, and so let's hope the second half is just as strong as this first half. I'm so excited. It's about 11 o'clock at night right now, so I don't know if I'm planning on trying to finish it tonight, but as of right now, like, the only plans that I have at the moment are to lay in bed and listen to the audiobook. But you know, today's been a really long day. Like, I just got back home from Vegas this afternoon, and so I'm still pretty tired. It was like a long couple of days. We woke up early a lot, and I barely slept, so I don't know if I'll be able to stay up late enough to finish it tonight. Yum.
Before she leaves, she reaches into her purse and pulls out the package of cinnamon hearts she bought at 7-Eleven on the way over.
So yeah, last night I was only able to get about 70% of the way through the book because I was laying there listening to it, and some things were happening that were just, it was a lot, you know? It was so hard to stomach, and this book has like major trigger warnings for rape and sexual violence, and just brutal violence in general, you know, like as I was saying earlier. So yeah, I ended up shutting it off late last night because I didn't want to like have freaking nightmares about this book. So I wanted to like listen to some ASMR and try to relax, you know, before I actually went to bed. But then this morning I had to go and do some groceries and do some dishes and stuff, so then I was able to finish it pretty much as I was starting my breakfast this morning. And oh my god, this book was just insane. Like, I don't know how I didn't see those plot twists towards the very end of this book coming, but I did not see it coming. And I just like, I was so surprised. Like, I don't know, there was just so many things about this ending that I didn't see coming. But yeah, I'm so freaking impressed by this book. Like, I don't even know what else to say about it other than that it was completely shocking. God, I just loved it so much. And it also had this like really great romance in this book that I was rooting for. That was like not like, it wasn't like the main thing happening in the story, but it was like happening on the sidelines. And I'm just surprised. Like, I really, really loved these characters. I loved that the main character, it was like, you didn't know if you could trust her story or not throughout the book, you know? It was like, because this whole time it's like you don't really know. It's like, how involved was she in this like supposed murder that she either knew about or helped with? Like, we don't really know throughout most of the book, like her whole involvement in the story. So I found that to be like really interesting. I also do love that this book takes place in Washington. I guess most of this author's books do take place in Washington, which I just think is so cool. I felt like throughout most of the ending of this book, I was that freaking meme, you know, the one with the two eyes and like the lips in the middle, and it's just like that was like me throughout the entire ending of this book. Wow, God, I feel like this one has to be another 5-star book, which is just crazy. I've had so many 5-star thrillers this month, and I've had 2 in this video, which is a freaking video that I'm reading because of you. So like, wow, I need to be listening to your thriller recs like way more often. That's a great angle take. Tank's like, that's enough, goddamn. Has been a couple of days since I've last updated this vlog, but I am planning on starting Confessions right now on my phone. I did download this one as an ebook, and it's actually only 211 pages as an ebook, so I feel like it shouldn't take me too long to read this book. But it's only about like 1:30 in the afternoon right now, and I do work tonight at like 4 or 4:30. So I don't know how much reading I'll be able to get done this afternoon, but I'm going to start it, and hopefully I love this one. Like, I'm expecting this one to be my favorite of the whole video, which would be shocking because if I end up loving this book, like, I would have 3 5 stars in this video, and that would just be like bonkers wild. So it's nearly 4 o'clock now, and I am on the way to work, and I only got about like 68 pages into Confessions or so, and I wasn't really expecting it to be as dense as it is. It is a lot of thick, long paragraphs and not too much dialogue, so I think that contributed to why it took me so long to read just those 60 pages, but The first chapter itself was about 50 pages long, and I'm pretty sure there's only like 6 chapters in total in the whole book that I was looking through it. So each one of the chapters, it seems like it's told from a different point of view, and it all has to do with this one thing, I think, that happened. And it's really cool because in the first chapter, we're getting the point of view from this female teacher that's teaching at the school, and she's kind of like talking to the students, but it's weird because it's almost written in like a second person, so it's like you feel like you're one of the students that she's talking to, and she's just talking about this thing that happened. Like, I literally don't want to spoil anything for you because this book is just wild. Like, the end of that first chapter, I was like, what the fuck? And it was just so well written, and it's just so interesting. And now in the second chapter, we're getting the same like kind of thing from a different point of view, and we're kind of seeing what happens after the events that happened in the first chapter. And like, I don't even know, I'm like, is this entire book just like confessions about some really horrific thing that happened? Like, I don't even know, but it's wild, and I'm really enjoying it so far. The writing is a little bit more dense than I thought it would be, but I'm still really enjoying it. But anyways, I'm off to work tonight. I close tonight, and then after work tonight, we are having like a little bowling party gathering of sorts because 2 of my coworkers are leaving for college like this week, and I have my last shifts with them both very soon. And so tonight our whole store is like getting together for like a little bowling, and we might go to like Buffalo Wild Wings or something afterwards is what I've heard. But we're just doing that to celebrate and have a goodbye party to 2 of my favorite coworkers. Haley and Amsa are both leaving tonight, and I'm sad. So yeah, that should be after work, so I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to read tonight, and then I do work all day tomorrow, so like, we'll see. But I'm very much looking forward to reading it again when I get the chance to read again. Let's go do something amazing. Ah! Let's do it. Oh, that actually is. Oh, a fork?
Yeah, a fork.
These are cauliflower wings. What the heck? That doesn't make sense in my brain. They look like chicken.
Dude, they brought you shots.
Oh!
What, my dingy? What? No.
Okay, so it's about 6:30 at night right now, and I just got to chapter 5 of Confessions, and that puts me at 153 pages in out of 211, so I have about like a little bit less than 50 pages left, I think. And god, this story is freaking wild. I was correct in the assumption that this story is kind of like all about the same event in a way, but we're getting like different perspectives in each chapter. I will say the one thing, like the one complaint that I have about this book that's really shallow is just that I don't like that it's all like really long chapters. Like, each chapter is anywhere from like 30 to 50 pages, and I just much prefer when my thrillers have like short and sweet chapters, and it makes me feel like I'm flying through the book, because I feel like I've been reading this all afternoon, and I probably only read about 100 pages worth right now. But I am really enjoying the concept and the storytelling style of it. I feel like it's really unique, because even though we're learning about the same event that was happening in the first chapter, and we're just hearing it from different points of view, we kind of get to know a little bit more information about what actually happened with each point of view, and we learn something new about the characters, and so that's really interesting. I don't know, I'm really liking it. And so I just have chapter 5 and chapter 6 left. It looks like chapter 5 is 38 pages, and then chapter 6 is actually pretty short. So I might just try to lay here and finish it now, or I might get some dinner started. I haven't decided yet. It's already 6:30. I've just been laying here for like almost 2 hours reading. It's taking me a while to get through this, but I think it's just because it is such dense writing. Like, there's not a lot of dialogue, but it's still really good. Like, really enjoying this. it has been a couple of hours. I had some dinner, but I finished reading Confessions. Holy crap, dude. This book is just full of the plot twists, you know? It never stops. I did enjoy the fact that this book was broken up into like 6 different chapters and different points of views. I thought that that was really interesting, and I loved how each chapter kind of had its own plot twist and its own reveal about the characters that we're reading about. However, I wasn't a huge fan of the actual writing style. I found it to be very like bulky, and I felt like it repeated a lot of the same parts, like where I was like, okay, I already know what happens, and you just kind of want to read it again to get that character's perspective on things, but sometimes it felt just a tad repetitive with the way it was told. Because like you would read about a certain scene like 5 different ways, and it was like, okay, like I've read this scene so many times, like I know what happens, like I can literally tell you word for word what's gonna happen. So the writing style of the book wasn't my favorite. Like I can see if people have a hard time getting into this, because I definitely had a hard time getting into this. It took me a couple days to get through this book, which is crazy because of how short it is. But at the same time, I think this is one of the most clever and most interesting thrillers that I've ever read, and I can definitely see why people were recommending this book to me, because those plot twists. Like, this has got to be one of those thrillers that has like some of the best plot twists that I've ever read, and one of the most like clever and unique plots. I feel like I can't even really tell you anything about this book without spoiling you, so that's why if you're interested in checking out this book, I recommend just going in without knowing anything. But like, God, this book is some like disturbing shit, like some really weird shit happens in this book. Overall, I'm kind of like torn somewhere between giving this book like a 4 and a 4.5 stars, just because there was so much about this book that I really enjoyed, but then there was like a tad bit of things that I had some issues with, so I feel like I can't give it the full 5 stars, even though I was super impressed by this plot. But yeah, wow, I can't believe we're already at the end of this video of reading your thriller recommendations, and I'm even more surprised that I didn't have a book lower than 4 stars. Like, that is amazing. Oh my gosh. I feel like I need to do this video again sometime soon, because you guys have amazing thriller recommendations, and my world has been shook. So at the beginning of this video, I did rate them in the order of what I thought I would enjoy the most, and I'm not entirely sure in this moment, to be honest, what I rated what. But I think my favorite book that I read for this video has got to be Razorblade Tears, because I expected the world from this book, and this book just delivered that and so much more. And Ike and Buddy are characters that I'm not going to be forgetting anytime soon. Like, this book just really left a lasting impression on me, and I think it's because not only is it a really great thriller and it has some really great action and some great moments, but it's also just like there's so many great conversations in this book that I think are so important to me. And these characters, like, their relationship is just everything. Like, it's just so freaking precious. I feel like this one's probably going to be in my top favorites of the year. Like, it was just so good. And then my second has got to be Jar of Hearts. Oh my god, what a complete and total surprise. Like, this book was just crazy in the best way. I'm just so grateful to you guys and to Haley for recommending this book so much, because I probably would have never picked this book up on my own, and I cannot believe how wild this book was. Like, I was so captivated from the beginning until the very end. This book just had it all, you know, because it had the like crazy suspense and this crazy plot and really good plot twist, but then it also had this really great romance happening in it. Like, there's just something for everyone in this book, you know? Yeah, I just wanted to scream at the end. Like, I loved it so much. This is definitely one of my favorite thrillers that I've read this year. And then in third place, I'm gonna put Confessions in third place, because wow, Confessions is definitely up there as one of the most mind-blowing thrillers that I've ever read, because this book literally just had so many surprises. It just has so much up its sleeve, and it's just like, bet you didn't see this coming, bam, 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 so many twists. And then lastly, I'm gonna put Pretty Little Wife, not because I didn't enjoy it, because I definitely did. I mean, I gave this book 4 stars as well, but because this one is the least memorable to me in my brain out of these 4 stories that I read for this video. And I'm definitely interested though in checking out more from Darby Kane. I do think she announced that she has a book coming out later this year, I want to say in like December. So I'm definitely interested in checking out more books from her, because I do really enjoy her writing style. And I thought this was a really great thriller too. Like, I mean, as I said, I enjoyed everything that I read in this video, which is so wild because that never happens. And I'm so happy that this ended up happening on a video where I'm like reading books that you guys actually recommended to me, you know, because that makes my heart happy. And I feel like you guys just really know me and my thriller taste. Like, that is so cool. Wow, what a fun journey this video has been. If If you've read any of these 4 books, of course, let me know your thoughts on them. And if you plan to read any of these 4 books now, of course, also please let me know that, because I would love to know. And yeah, let me know if you would like to see a video like this from me again. You know, I did intend to do a video that was like reading your romance recommendations. I intended to do that in like June this year, but it never ended up happening, sadly, because things just got in the way and I just was not in a romance mood when I tried to do that video. And so I'm really glad I was able to do this video in August, and then this upcoming October, I think I'm planning on doing another reading your horror recommendations kind of video, because that was just so much fun. So I think I'm going to be putting up a community post probably sometime in September asking you for all of the horror recommendations, and I'm just so excited to do that video again, because that was a video that I did last year that I just had the most fun with. Yeah, hopefully it's a success just like this video, but thank you so much for watching as always and for hanging out, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.